Hey,
Hello. We are doing something super different today. My mom has owned a flower shop for over 30 some odd years. And over the years, I have worked for her. I continue to help her during the busy seasons like Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. And so I've learned a thing or two about arranging flowers, and I thought maybe you would like to see how you can do it at home as well. It's not that difficult, I don't think. And hopefully you can gather some of the materials just outside even for Christmas. So I'm using evergreens and pine cones, things that you can clip from outside. Hopefully that will inspire you to create your own table center for family dinners and such over the holidays. What do you think?
sure. Not for me though.
All right, so I'm going to start with the very basics. I have a plastic dish that has the little, I don't know, spikes on the inside to hold my floral foam in place. I don't know what to call these, and I don't know where you can find them. I'm thinking maybe Michael's. I tried looking on Amazon. I didn't see them there. But floral foam you can order from Amazon. They come in a brick this is about a third of it, so about this size, and that's how you would buy it. So you just cut it down to size. So I am going to soak it in water, and you don't want to press, like push down. You just have to let it soak slowly like a sponge, and so that you make sure that the whole thing is soaked with water and that there are no air pockets on the inside. Because if there's air pockets on the inside, then when you put in your flowers and your greens, it won't get any water. Oh, it's actually happening quite quickly. Look at that. Ta-da! I'm amazed, actually. Sometimes I think that it takes so long, but maybe it's because at the flower shop, we're not just soaking one brick at a time. We soak like a lot of bricks all at once in huge buckets. Okay, maybe we can get started then.
That looks pretty soaked.
Yeah. So we're just going to take this, and it's going to go right in here.
And impale it on those spikes, so to speak.
All right. In industry, we would actually tape this into place, but because I'm just doing it for my home, I'm not moving it from place to place, it's not being delivered, I'm not going to do that. I'm also adding some water. And sometimes people forget that when they get arrangements, they don't add water. And you should be adding water daily because the flowers and the greens will soak up the water that's there.
Well, it smells nice.
It does. I love the smell of Christmas greens, which is why I'm actually using gloves, because they are very sappy, and the sap is really hard to wash off your hands. So I'm wearing gloves. If you're not going to wear gloves, just be aware that you're going to get sap all over your hands, and it's hard to clean. Pine cones, you can just find pine cones outside. I took these from my mom's store, but these are all pine cones that were picked from somewhere, and she actually doesn't buy pine cones. Like a lot of the neighbors over the years just collect all these pine cones and drop it off at her store, which is great. We do use a wire so that we can put them into our oasis and to stick them into place. And you can use smaller pine cones, they don't have to be so big. And I'm just using a couple of them. And then I have some baubles that I also took from the store. But you can use your own Christmas decorations, or you can buy things like this. I've seen things like this at Michael's. So I just have, and they're just foam balls on a stick that has been glittered, I guess. You can even make these yourself if you have the time.
That looks really easy to make.
All right, so back to the greens. I have pine, which is the one that you smell probably. cedar. Well, actually, you can probably smell all of it. This is cedar. And this is fir. So I like having a variety of different greens in my table centers so that there can be different textures, but you can just clip whatever you have on your property. Don't clip them from a park, just saying. So I'm going to clip them into smaller pieces and then start showing you how to arrange them. You want to give yourself as much enough to poke into your oasis, and you'll trim these as you go, but I just want the longest length I can get from each piece. This one I'm going to leave a little bit longer. You're going to need little pieces like this too to fill in any smaller holes.
I guess with these clippers, there's less likelihood of you hurting yourself.
I was going to say, I have never cut my finger at the store, but I have. And cedar, you have to be careful also. They're a little bit prickly, I find, so on the back.
Thorns?
Well, they're not really thorns. They're just like, I don't know where they are. They're a little bit prickly. So sometimes if you get little scratches on your hand or arms, it's likely from the cedar. So floral design is actually really dirty work. It's not so glamorous as people seem to think that it is. Oh, you know, people used to say to me all the time, oh, it must be so nice to work in the flower shop. Everything's so pretty. Yeah, it's really pretty, but there's a lot of hard work that goes along with it. So I was gonna use this piece, but I think this piece is too long for what I'm doing. Watch. I should use the clippers, right?
Yeah. Clippers. Cut.
It's fine.
It's fine. Until there's like, you know, blood.
Okay, so with Oasis, you can actually stick the green upwards and it'll still get water because it's soaked into the sponge. We're making a long table center today, and we're going to start with trying to give it its basic shape. So we want something, it's going to be low and long. So you want to, well, I'm using a counter space here, so that's kind of my guide, but I want it to be about this long. So I'm going to put in my greens in a way that will
fill up that space.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So it just kind of gives you like a foundation to build on.
That's right. So I'm just going through my greens right now, trying to find another piece to go on the other side.
So there's a certain level of symmetry involved here.
Yes.
You just can't choose anything.
And you'll have to take off, sometimes you'll have to take off these little pieces just so that you can get enough of it in. You want to have about 1 inch or 2 of the stem in your oasis so that, one, it stays in place, and secondly, for it to get enough water. And sometimes you end up poking something that's already in there. You can start using other greens as well to help you along. And so when I'm pulling all this stuff off, I'm just using my hands and I'm just pulling like all of this stuff off.
What? That's
just like that.
So efficient.
Well, at the flower shop, I can just chuck everything onto the floor, but at home, I'm a little bit hesitant to chuck everything onto the floor.
Yeah, especially if you're not the one getting it up.
Yeah, to me, right now, it looks like this side is longer than the other side, so you want to kind of even that out. Okay, that's a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm working backwards, but you may need to move it around so that you can actually see what you're doing on either side. And you also want to start moving upwards, but you want the greens to kind of flow down. And pine is really good that way because it just droops down, and basically I want to try to cover this ugly container.
Hey, it's really starting to take shape.
Yeah, So you just want to keep adding kind of layer by layer, but now I am going to do the top part. I just want like little pieces like this, and I'm going to stick them sort of near the center to give my shape to the top. We don't want it to go any higher than that. I can't find any small pieces of greens. You know, I cut up a lot earlier. Doesn't mean you need to use everything. And when you're sticking your greens in, you don't want to be poking too many holes in terms of don't poke them in and take them out and poke them in and take them out, because it creates a lot of air pockets. And then if greens or flowers end up with the stem in those air pockets, it's not going to get any water, and we don't want that. So just be mindful of wherever you stick it, commit.
It also breaks down the structure of the foam.
And you don't want that either. You don't want it falling apart. So basically you just want your basic shape, and then you want to fill in the little gaps as you see them. Little holes, just like when you're decorating a Christmas tree, sometimes you see big holes, and so you want to put something there to cover that hole. And so that's what I'm trying to do now, is fill in these gaps that I've left. And if you're adding flowers, then you can also just kind of leave it around here and then start putting in your flowers. And fill in those little holes. All right, not bad for someone who hasn't done this in years, right?
Way better than I can even do, ever.
All right, so it's low, it's long, the sides are short, and it's symmetrical. Okay, but when I say holes, it means you can still see some of the oasis. So when we start filling in with our decorations, it will fill in some of those gaps. Okay, if you have something that's wired, you have to make sure that you put it where you want it to go before sticking it in there, and then cutting the wire to make sure that it's the right place. And then let's stick it in there. Oops. So the other ones I have already cut. And generally, I find 3 is a good number. When you get to too symmetrical, it becomes too symmetrical and not so natural looking. Okay, my baubles. So I do have 6 baubles here, but I do find multiples of 3 is a good number. Oh, this one is going to go at the end, so you want to keep that one long. And try to even it out on the other side. Right, so it's kind of like decorating a Christmas tree. Instead of hanging the ornaments, you're just kind of sticking them in where you think they should go. And some people have, when they're designing, they have a certain vision that they like to see. So I'm just doing whatever.
And everyone's got their personal taste in design.
Mm-hmm. This one go. And sometimes, maybe you don't need the extra one. Maybe I'll just leave it like that. All right, and that could be it. That could be it. You can add, I've seen those little like fairy lights that run on batteries. You can decorate it with those. I don't have any of those. But you can stop here. You can add berries, you can add holly, and that would look really nice as a table center. But I will show you what it would look like if you were to add flowers. So I am going to add some of the flowers that I have here just to fill it in some more. And again, we're just adding as we go to fill in the gaps. So use as little or as many as you'd like. And it doesn't really take a lot when you have mostly greens, and if this is all you are planning to do, and that's fine too. This is called skimmia. I'll give you a little bit of definition. It's, I've seen them outside. I don't know, I can't remember where I saw them outside now. Did I see them over the summer? Because they're like similar color to the pine cone, you just kind of want to have them dispersed here and there. Again, all I'm doing is filling in holes. So when you buy roses, they do come like this with these extra petals on the side, and they're basically guard petals, so I'm just going to take them right off. Okay. And you end up with a beautiful rose. Because there's so much foliage already on in your arrangement, you can just take the foliage out. It's too long. Stick it somewhere else. Because the leaves will take water too. So to give your roses or your flowers more water to drink, you take off the leaves so that it doesn't have to take more water than your flowers. So when you're doing flowers, you want to put your main flowers in first, and then your other filler flowers. Like I'm using, this is called Lizzianthus, and they have lots of stems per stem, and you can just kind of fill in the little gaps. It's easier to fill in with little flowers. And again, you want to be able to insert them about an inch or two. And it's okay to have them poking up a little bit to give it some dimension. It didn't have to be so low, because when flowers are growing, right, they're not like symmetrical. But at the same time, you do want to have some sense of symmetry. All right, last one. Commit. And while you're working, you may need to spin it around a few times so that you know where your flowers are going and you can see it from both sides. That's it. It's not the traditional red and white, but you can use whatever color theme you like and still make it very festive.
And your own.
And your own. Use what you have, and spend a little bit of money to get some really nice flowers, and you've got yourself a bouquet or a table center. So something like this at a flower shop would probably cost about $60. You can do it yourself. All right. Well, again, I would just love to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. And until next time, be simple, ordinary, and joyful.